In a small village in Nigeria, there lived two brothers, Emeka and Chidi. They were the sons of a wealthy farmer named feyii. Feyii had worked hard all his life and owned vast lands, many cattle, and a beautiful house. He was respected and loved by everyone in the village. Feyii always taught his sons to be kind and to share. He wanted them to look after each other and live in peace. However, as the years passed, Emeka and Chidi grew to be very different from each other. Emeka was kind and generous, always helping others. Chidi, on the other hand, was greedy and selfish. He only cared about himself and always wanted more than his fair share. One day, feyii fell very ill. He knew his time was near, so he called his sons to his bedside. With a weak voice, he said, "My dear sons, I am proud of both of you. When I am gone, I want you to share my property equally. Remember to live in peace and help each other." Emeka and Chidi promised their father that they would honor his wishes. Soon after, feyii passed away, and the whole village mourned his death. The time had come for the brothers to divide their father's property. Emeka and Chidi sat down to divide their father's property. They had to decide who would take the land, the cattle, and the house. Emeka suggested they divide everything equally, just as their father had wished. "We can split the land and the cattle, and we can take turns living in the house," Emeka proposed. Chidi pretended to agree, but in his heart, he wanted everything for himself. He had always been jealous of Emeka, who was loved by everyone in the village for his kindness. Chidi thought to himself, "Why should I share anything with Emeka? I deserve it all." Chidi then came up with a cunning plan. He told Emeka, "Brother, let's draw lots to see who gets what. That way, it will be fair, and no one can say we didn't divide things equally." Emeka, trusting his brother, agreed to the plan. They drew lots, and as fate would have it, Emeka ended up with the land, while Chidi got the cattle and the house. Chidi pretended to be disappointed, but secretly he was thrilled. He thought, "The house and the cattle are worth more than the land. I am the real winner here." As time went by, Chidi's greed grew stronger. He wanted more land to grow crops and build more houses. He saw how hard Emeka worked on his land and how successful he had become. Emeka's farm was flourishing, and he was able to help many villagers with food and work. Chidi's jealousy turned into hatred. He couldn't stand seeing his brother happy and successful. One night, Chidi had a terrible thought. He decided that the only way to get everything he wanted was to get rid of Emeka. Chidi started plotting against his brother. He knew Emeka often worked late in the fields, so he decided to use that to his advantage. Chidi waited for the right moment to carry out his wicked plan. One evening, as Emeka was working in his fields, Chidi approached him with a smile. "Brother, you work too hard," Chidi said. "Why don't you come to my house tonight for a feast? Let's celebrate our success and remember our father." Emeka, always trusting his brother, agreed. He was happy that Chidi wanted to spend time with him and hoped it would bring them closer. That night, Emeka went to Chidi's house. The table was filled with delicious food, and Chidi poured Emeka a drink. Little did Emeka know that Chidi had poisoned the drink. As they ate and talked, Emeka began to feel dizzy. He didn't understand what was happening. "Are you okay, brother?" Chidi asked, pretending to be concerned. Emeka tried to stand up but fell to the ground. Chidi watched coldly as Emeka took his last breath. "Now, everything will be mine," Chidi thought. The next morning, Chidi spread the news that Emeka had fallen ill and died suddenly. The village was heartbroken, and they mourned the loss of the kind and generous Emeka. Chidi pretended to be grieving, but inside he was celebrating his success. Chidi quickly took over Emeka's land and added it to his own. He now had everything he had ever wanted, but he was not happy. The villagers began to notice changes in Chidi. He became more greedy and cruel, treating people poorly and refusing to help those in need. The once prosperous and happy village started to suffer under Chidi's rule. The crops didn't grow as well, the cattle became sick, and the villagers were unhappy. They missed Emeka and the kindness he had shown to everyone. As Chidi's greed continued to grow, so did his troubles. The villagers began to whisper about Chidi's true nature and how different he was from Emeka. They suspected that Chidi had something to do with Emeka's sudden death, but no one had any proof. One night, Chidi had a strange dream. He saw Emeka standing before him, looking sad and disappointed. "Chidi, why did you do this to me?" Emeka asked. "Our father taught us to love and help each other. Your greed has brought nothing but misery to our village." Chidi woke up in a cold sweat. He tried to shake off the dream, but it haunted him day and night. He started to see Emeka's face everywhere he went, and he could not escape the guilt that consumed him. The guilt became too much for Chidi to bear. He couldn't sleep, he couldn't eat, and he became paranoid. He felt that everyone in the village was watching him and knew his terrible secret. One day, Chidi couldn't take it anymore. He decided to confess his crime to the village elder, hoping that it would ease his burden. Chidi went to the elder's house and fell to his knees. With tears streaming down his face, he confessed everything. He told the elder about his greed, his jealousy, and how he had poisoned Emeka to take all the property for himself. The elder listened in shock and sadness. "Chidi, what you have done is terrible. You have betrayed your brother and dishonored your father's memory. You must face the consequences of your actions." The elder called a meeting of the entire village. Chidi stood before them, trembling with fear and shame. The elder told the villagers everything Chidi had confessed. The villagers were outraged and heartbroken. They couldn't believe that Chidi had killed his own brother out of greed. "We trusted you, Chidi," one villager said. "You have brought nothing but pain and suffering to our village." The elder spoke. "Chidi must be punished for his crime. He will be banished from our village and will never be allowed to return. We will also make sure that Emeka's land and property are used to help the people, as he would have wanted." Chidi was led out of the village, his head hung low. He had lost everything, his family, his home, and the respect of the villagers. As he walked away, he realized that his greed had destroyed not only his life but also the happiness of those around him. With Chidi gone, the village began to heal. The villagers worked together to restore the land and the cattle. They remembered Emeka's kindness and generosity and tried to live by his example. Slowly, the crops began to grow again, the animals became healthy, and the village prospered once more. The village elder made sure that Emeka's property was used to help those in need. The house became a place where anyone could come for help, and the land was used to grow food for the entire village. The villagers never forgot Emeka and the lessons he had taught them. They understood that greed and selfishness could destroy everything, and they vowed to always look out for each other and share what they had. Years passed, and the story of Emeka and Chidi was told to every new generation. The children learned about the dangers of greed and the importance of kindness and generosity. They were taught to always help others and to live in peace and harmony. Emeka's legacy lived on in the village, and his spirit of kindness continued to inspire everyone. The villagers made sure that the land and property were always used for the good of all, just as Emeka would have wanted. And so, the village thrived, full of love, kindness, and cooperation. They never forgot the lessons they had learned from Emeka's life and Chidi's mistakes. Moral lessons. 1. Greed and selfishness. Greed can lead to terrible consequences, as seen in Chidi's actions. It can destroy relationships and bring misery to oneself and others. 2. Kindness and generosity. Emeka's life showed that kindness and generosity bring happiness and prosperity. Helping others creates a strong and supportive community. 3. Honoring promises. The brothers promised their father to share his property equally and live in peace. Breaking this promise led to tragedy. Please like, share, and hit the subscribe button to always get notifications whenever I drop a new story. Thank you.